I'm Rana High School Tigers. It's Mr. Pisetsky from the College and Career Center. I'm here with my brother, Chad Pisetsky, who lives in Brooklyn, New York, and he has graciously agreed to do an interview with me to talk about what he does and his college experience. So welcome, Chad.
Hi, how is everyone?
This is our first Zoom interview, so forgive us as we go through this. But Chad, what exactly do you do? Are you a talent agent, a casting agent? I always get the two confused.
I am a talent agent.
And
There are two different things. One is a talent agent, and one is a casting director.
Okay.
And we're like the middle people between a project and actors. So like I represent the actors, and the casting director would represent the project, whether or not it's like a Broadway show or a TV show or a movie. That would be the project. And so we're the middle people sides of it.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that about 13 years now.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It is.
Okay, so let's go back and create like a timeline of how you got to that point. So you went to a special boarding school, right, for the arts?
I went to a special boarding school for the arts. I thought I was going to be a big famous actor, and I was studying acting in high school. And then I was applying to be an acting major at different colleges. And my freshman year of college, I went to a school in Philadelphia called the University of the Arts. And I was a BFA major in acting. And I was there for my freshman year.
BFA is?
BFA is Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Yeah, just for anybody who didn't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I was there, and about halfway through the year or so, I kind of realized I didn't really want to pursue acting very much, and I was much more interested in directing. And so I was looking at different schools that offer directing as a major, and there was only a couple of them in the country that offer it as an undergraduate major. A lot of places have it for grad school. So I ended up transferring my sophomore year to the University of Michigan. There it is, Michigan alumni.
I saw you wear that Pisetsky shirt on. Very nice.
Yeah. It's also today. And so I transferred there my sophomore year to Michigan, and I was a BFA director. And so I was there for 3 years. I graduated, and I moved to New York right after I graduated. And thought I was going to be a big fancy director. But very quickly after I got here in New York, I realized that I wanted to have a job, like a full-time job. And I knew I wanted it to be having something to do with theater and acting, but I didn't really know what that was going to be. So I started applying for different internships. And I had an internship with an off-Broadway nonprofit theater company for a few months. And then I had a different internship at a different off-Broadway theater company. And then I had a third internship in a casting office with a casting director. And we would work on like small plays across the smaller theaters across the country, and a little bit of theater in New York. And then I just got a job as an office assistant at a talent agency. And it was a job that came along that offered better health insurance and a little bit more money, and I took it. And the rest is history. I've been working at talent agencies ever since.
Nice. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So
many people out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you transferred from University of the Arts to Michigan, how was that process for you? Like, did all your credits transfer because you went from different majors to one major to a different major? How did that?
I was able to get most of my credits transferred, and that was really mostly luck than anything else, because at Michigan, the program that the directing majors were in, as a freshman, they essentially had all the same classes as the acting students. And so that was just very a big stroke of luck and coincidental that I had very similar credits as an acting major at the University of the Arts. So the majority of my classes and credits were able to transfer. And then there were a couple that I wasn't able to transfer. So in my 3 years at Michigan, I ended up having a sort of a mishmash of classes. Majority of my classes were with my grade, but I also had a certain number of classes with the students in the year above me as well, just to make up for some other credits that I didn't have.
Nice. And if I remember correctly, I hope I'm not bringing up any bad feelings, but you when you applied to Michigan, you got into the theater department, right, but not the university. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. It was an interesting experience. The theater department at the University of Michigan is under the umbrella of the School of Music. However, when I had applied in my application and it asked you what school you wanted to apply for, I checkmarked the School of Literature, Science, and the Arts. Because I had just assumed that the School of Literature, Science, and the Arts theater.
Right.
And so I did my application and I had an interview, and I interviewed with the chair of the theater department, and he actually, on the spot, I got very lucky and told me that I was accepted into the school. And then about 3 weeks later, I got the rejection letter in the mail from the School of Literature, Science, and the Arts. So it was a little clerical error. I had to sort of reapply, send in my application a second time, and make sure that I checked off the School of Music.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I got in.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, and then so you graduate from Michigan, and you know you want to do something in theater, so you're like, I have to be in New York. Like that's where theater is. Like, were you considering Chicago or LA, or just you had to be in New York?
I wasn't. I think maybe you remember when we were younger, we took a family trip to New York.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was about 14 or 15, and you were, I think, 18.
Yeah.
And I just remember my first time in the big city, going there with the family and thinking, this is it.
Yeah.
And going to see our first couple Broadway shows, and I just fell in love. And like, it was just never a question. It was, I'm going to go to college, and then after college, I'm going to go to New York.
That was it.
I'll figure the rest of it out later. But that was the plan. Yeah.
So you arrive in New York, and is that when you first got a job at CPK? Was that your first job?
I had a couple very short-lived jobs as later as a very small, a couple different restaurants. But then I ended up getting a job at CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, and I was doing that while I was still doing all of those internships. So
right. So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So did you start CPK, and then as you got kind of comfortable with CPK hours and sort of things, then go to internships, or was it all doing it at once?
No, it was doing it all at once. I think I had one internship already lined up before I got there, because I was applying to internships the summer before I moved.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one internship already lined up, and then I just knew I also just had to find a job once I got to New York to pay the bills. So I was in a couple different restaurants, and then I landed at CPK, and I was there for about 3 years. Working there full time and also interning full time.
Nice. What has been your favorite part as a talent agent?
It is pretty cool when, let's say I start representing a very young actor who's very new to the business and hasn't done anything and hasn't, have much experience, but like I see potential in that person, and when they actually do succeed, it's pretty cool. So like if I am able to be there on opening night of somebody's very first Broadway show and be able to like sit in the audience and look up and see that person and think that, I had something to do with that. I kind of helping make that guy's dream come true a little bit.
That's really cool. Yeah.
It's really pretty cool. Yeah.
So can you name drop a little bit? Remember we're talking to high school students, so anybody that you think we would know that you had represented that they can share?
Sure. I very briefly represented before she got really famous, but I represented Amy Schumer for a little while. Um, she did an episode of 30 Rock back in the day, and she had one line in the
That,
episode, and that was thanks
that,
to yours truly. Um,
uh,
so,
very cool.
so,
You got her started.
so yes, because of that one line that she did on 30 Rock, I made her the superstar that she is today. Um, that's probably the biggest name. I've also represented a lot of like famous Broadway people
Mhm.
over the years. Lea Salonga, who was most famous for being in the original production of Miss Saigon. Um, I also represented Alice Ripley. She won a Tony Award a couple years ago for a musical called Next to Normal. Um, yeah, and a few others. Generally my clientele has been like the working actor. So a lot of people that I think you would be able to look at and say like, oh yeah, I've seen that person before, but not
Mhm.
necessarily able to,
Yeah, like character actors, kind of like.
yeah,
Yeah.
character actors or like that person you're like, oh yeah, I saw that, I saw them in that commercial or I saw them on that TV show or something like
Yeah.
that. I recognize that person. That's a lot of the actors that I work with.
Nice. So, to students who are listening and who want to be in some form of the arts, whether it's acting in theater, directing in theater, um, being an agent, what words of wisdom or advice would you share?
I would say that there are a lot of different opportunities out there that you may not realize right now. When I was in college, I had no idea that being a talent agent was even a thing. I
Hmm.
didn't I didn't learn that until after I moved here.
Oh wow.
And it was thanks to, I learned a lot with the 3 different internships I had. And a lot of things that they don't teach you in school, just about like how different arts organizations are operated and the way a play gets mounted in a professional theater company and things like that. So I would encourage people to look at internships if there's something that you're possibly interested in pursuing. Um, every single arts organization in New York, at least, I know has various internship opportunities available. Um, and it's definitely a way to sort of get an education, a real life education that you won't necessarily get in the classroom, but you'll get it, on the job. Because I definitely don't think I would be able to have had the jobs and the career that I've had if it wasn't for the internships that I had at first.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and you had a bunch. Well,
I
not a
had
bunch, but yeah, you had
I had 3 different internships, and I didn't get paid
right.
a dime for any of them.
Yeah, and how long did that how long were your internships before you started getting paid?
Um, I would say I was in New York for about just a little under 3 years, just almost 3 years
I'm
before I
doing.
actually got my first job
Yeah,
um, in the business. I was getting paid as a waiter and a bartender, um, but it was almost 3 years before I actually got a job in
nice.
the field.
All right, and last question. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so um, we have a lot of students who are interested in acting. We have a pretty good theater program. Um, with your clients, what colleges out there do you see most of them coming from that are um, exceptional? Like, when students are, what colleges would you recommend from college?
I think it depends if they're going for straight acting or musical theater,
Yeah,
singing and dancing as well. On the musical
yeah,
theater side of things, some of the top schools are, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but the University of Michigan is
of
one of the
course.
top musical theater schools in the country.
Yep,
Their acting program is also very good. Carnegie Mellon University has an excellent both acting and musical theater. Um, there's a school, I think they're in North Carolina, called Elon University, which also has an excellent musical theater program. There's also the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, which has an excellent musical theater program. Um, and then as far as acting, again, Michigan, Carnegie Mellon. Um, but a lot of actors also end up getting their master's degree in acting.
really.
A
Yeah.
lot of like successful actors, especially people who do like Shakespeare and classical work, uh, go to grad school and get their MFA, their Master of Fine Arts. So that's places like Juilliard or NYU for masters, or Yale School of Drama,
Mm.
are all excellent places to get a master's degree as well, if they want to go that extra mile.
Nice. Well, very good. Thank you, Chad, for being with us. I'm going to stop recording
Okay.
and hold on.